Time Walk with me.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Time Walk with me. Today we're looking at a relatively simple deck with a relatively simple commander, Baru Wurmspeaker. This dude is a 3/3 legendary human druid for 2 generic and 2 green, who gives all of my worms +2/+2 and trample, and for a whopping 8 mana, he makes a 4/4 green worm token. Thanks to Baru's ability, however, it comes out as a 6/6 with trample. This repeatable ability would be okay if it ended there, but it doesn't. It costs X less, where X is the greatest power among worms I control. So if I use the ability at full cost once, the next turn it will only cost 2 mana as long as I still have the token. If this deck was just this card plus 99 forests, it would be pretty good. It's not though, so hopefully it's still good. Webweaver Changeling. This creature is only technically a worm, which is the best kind of worm. It also consoles me for the loss of my creatures if 3 or more of them are in the graveyard. Chameleon Colossus. Another worm in name only, or wino. This creature can double its power more than once in a turn. With trample from Baru, that makes it a potential game ender. Coil Prowler. Teething Wormlet. This little guy likes artifacts. It's basically Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Garrick, Primal Hunter. He makes beasts, but he also draws me cards and makes worms. Scaled Worm. Gravetiller Worm. This guy gets very angry if one of its fellow creatures died, even if it was an opponent's creature. Defiler of Vigor. He makes my green permanents cheaper to cast and pumps up my whole board, which more than makes up for his dumb name. How does one even defile Vigor? Battering Worm. The bigger he is, the harder it is to block him. Greater Sandworm. No chump blocking this guy. Duskdale Worm. Engulfing Slagworm. Havenwood Worm. Crush of Worms. Arachnoform. If I have something that isn't a worm, this will make it one. Guardian Gladewalker. Ravenous Lindworm. Crawworm, a classic. Carnage Worm, the son of Venom Worm. Conifer Worm. Its ability probably won't be used unless I get a bunch of snow-covered forests. It's just here to be a worm. Metamorphic Worm. Barbtooth Worm. Birthing Boughs. Bellowing Tangleworm. This guy could make my whole army unblockable. Bookworm. This worm can be hard to get rid of. Boneyard Worm. And Brambleworm. This can help me deal with flying creatures. Whisperer of the Wilds. Llanowar Elves. Neverwinter Dryad. Moss Diamond. Nature's Lore. Mindstone. Fyndhorn Elves. Wild Growth. Gauntlet of Power. Urza's Incubator. Leaf Glider. Llanowar Visionary. Nyx Lotus. And Tangled Florahedron. Colossal Majesty. Elemental Bond. Garrick's Uprising. Keeper of Fables. Return of the Wildspeaker. Flyers are often a problem for greens, so I put in a small sub-theme of equipment that gives my creatures flying. Plus the idea of putting wings on a giant worm is funny. Wings of Hubris. Raven Wings. Kite Sail. Aeronaut's Wings. Most of this gets rid of artifacts and enchantments. Most of the problem creatures should be in my battlefield anyway. Consigned to Dust. Acidic Slime. Meteor Golem. Break Asunder. Wilt. Reclamation Sage. Naturalize. Root Out. And Fade into Antiquity. Instill Energy. This allows Baru to make more worms. Conduit of Worlds. This is good for permanent recursion. Monster Manual. This lets me cheat out creatures. It's even worth it if I use it the turn I cast it. If the creature that I cheat out with it costs more than 6, that is. Glorious Sunrise. This is just a cool utility enchantment. It does something cool every turn. I kept the lands very simple. Tranquil Thicket, Slippery Karst, and Forests. You might notice that I didn't put any board wipes in this deck. One reason for this is because I didn't want to. The other reason is because there is no other reason. So that's my Baru Wurmspeaker deck. What do you think? Tell me what you think, what you really think, and I will see you next time.